Crucible was written by Arthur Miller in the 50s in response to McCarthyism. It became, the McCarthy hearings became a hysterical setting, a hysterical situation where if you believed a little differently than someone else, then you would be suspected of being a communist. If your feelings leaned a little bit toward the left, you were considered being a communist. Well, the same sort of hysteria, and in fact there's been a great deal written about it. They can't figure out why it happened in Salem, all of a sudden believing that people were witches, actually hanging somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 people, putting them to death for the crime of witchcraft. Very difficult to prove, if at all possible to prove people were witches. And one sad thing about it is that the people actually thought they were doing the right thing. They weren't trying to just go out and hang people. They were trying to find out the truth, and they really believed these people were witches. You'd have to say probably the same thing. People really thought everybody was a communist back in the 50s. It has to do with fear. Fear of someone being different, fear of conquest, fear of being taken over. And it's quite a sad situation. All the characters involved, some of the names have been changed a bit, but all the characters existed in history, and the events depicted in the play took place.
Well, John Proctor, it's interesting, Arthur Miller did quite a bit of research when he wrote this show about all the characters in the show. They're all historically real. These people, the people that died in the show actually did die. People that were persecuted were actually those people. And there was some historical information on all of them that Miller was able to find and incorporate into the show, which I think is very interesting. He also managed to, I think, create quite a style, quite a vocal and dialect style for the show, too. John Proctor was singled out by him, I think, to embody the gross absurdity of what was happening at the time. The director of the show, Kenny Gannon, I think described the character best when he said that Proctor is a man who was very passionate and who finally was overcome by his passions. That's finally what destroyed him. A man who believed in truth, a man who believed in, I think, true Christian lifestyle as it embodied. He makes a mistake in the show. He makes a mistake which eventually costs him his life, and that is he commits the sin of adultery. And at the time, of course, it was a very puritanical society, so the sin of adultery was quite a serious matter for him and for the people of the society, too. The person that he commits adultery with eventually decides to get back at him. Through his commission of this error, he at least in Miller, this was Miller's way of giving a realistic touch to what actually did happen. Like I said, people were actually killed and persecuted. Miller decided that this would be a real good ground base, I think, to tell people how it actually might have happened. So Proctor, as a historical person, I think, was someone who was very passionate about himself, about his life, and in committing this sin, opened himself up and the society to a certain extent to this type of persecution. Proctor searches within himself throughout the show for his goodness, for the goodness of the people around him, and for justice, which for him, of course, became something that we could only loosely describe as an absurd sort of justice, because eventually he dies for what he had done, which for him, in this puritanical society, of course, he more than any one of the other characters, I think, does embody the evil that it was. This evil that was done in the name of religious freedom, of course, that actually thought that they were purging society by getting rid of these witches and people who compacted with the devil, when actually it was just real people who were trying to live the best lives they could. So Proctor, in searching for his truth and his honesty and his own Christian faith, decides that for him, the thing to do is to be true to himself and to be honest, no matter what these people tried to say to him, what the right thing to do was. He had to search for himself for that answer. And of course, that answer eventually ends up killing him, because he decides to be true and not to lie, no matter what type of forces were put upon him.
It is a providence, no great change. We are what we always were. But naked now. Naked!
I cannot!
In the wind. God's icy wind blows.
I cannot! I cannot!
Michael Madison, terrific actor, is just right for this role. It's a little beyond a college actor. If you're going to do a play of this serious nature, of this scope, it's almost kind of an epic kind of a drama. Very, very heavy. I didn't want to do this play without a professional in the role of John Proctor. And I'm lucky to have a lot of professional friends, a lot of professional actors as friends, and Michael is one of my dearest friends, and he's also a perfect John Proctor.
It's quite a talented group of kids here. The things I've appreciated the most, I think, is everyone's dedication to what we're doing. Working as a professional actor, even, there have been many situations I've been in where people just walked through it, just, you know, they looked at it as a job and just did the least they could possibly do and get by with it. Here, the vast majority of the time, the people, the children certainly. Oh Lord, I'm feeling old.
It's not for you to say what is good for you to hear. I may speak my heart, I think. What are we Quakers? We're not Quakers here yet, Mr. Proctor, and you may tell that to your followers.
Here lie all your familiar spirits. Your incubi, your succubi, your witches that go by land, by air, and by sea, your wizards of the day and of the night. Have no fear. If he has come among us, we shall find him out. And I mean to crush him utterly if he has shown his face.
I am Judge Haythorne? Danforth. He's Haythorne, and I'm Danforth.
Okay. Well, tell me a little about that character.
I have been sent by the supreme government, by the governor himself, to take care of the Salem witch trials and to see what's going on. My purpose is to discover the truth in all this, and I will have the truth or hang everybody if I don't get it.
Hi, gals. I'm here seriously trying to get into character. Okay, I'm ready.
So tell me,
What do you think about my teeth?
it's awesome. It's intense.
Missy, what's your character in this play?
Mary Warren. She's one of the little girls who goes against the village and says everybody's devils and witches, and at the very end she goes against her peers and says that everybody's lying. And Mr. Proctor, which is who she's been hired by to clean her house, she ends up telling everybody that he's the devil and goes back with her peers at the very end. And she's crying constantly throughout the play because she's always scared of something. And it's a very strong character and it works well with Mr. Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, she's bitter and mean. She's lost 7 of her 8 children and is losing her 8th, and she's very worried about it, doesn't want to take the blame herself, so she is blaming everybody else, and she's calling it witchcraft.
If somebody comes to see the Crucible expecting a Broadway review, they're going to be disappointed. Audience response is always hard to gauge. Sometimes you can gauge it with laughter. Sometimes you can gauge it with silence. I have no idea what their response will be. I hope it will make them think. I hope they will enjoy the performances. And just on the plain theatrical side, I think we're doing a very good job with it. But I have no idea.
Wait a minute.